statements is Jeanette Long.
It's great to see all you here tonight. I want to summarize who I am in one sentence. I am a pro-life, pro-gun, conservative mother of 5, and that's exactly what I believe we need in Washington, D.C. And I think part of the problem we're having in the nation right now is we've all heard the 30-second sound bites, the people who can talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And so when I tell you I'm pro-life, I don't just say that. Those are not mere words. I graduated from college with an infant and a 1-year-old. I've done 3 special needs adoptions from Children's Services. I live pro-life 24/7, 365, and that's why I've been endorsed by Family First. And when I stand in front of you and I tell you I'm pro-gun, I don't just say those words. I opened the Washington, D.C. office of Ducks Unlimited working on federal gun legislation 20 years ago. I stood in front of the United States Supreme Court. I wrote a friend of the court brief on behalf of the United States Bill of Rights Foundation, supporting your Second Amendment rights to bear arms, and won a national award from the NRA doing that, and I'm a concealed carry permit holder. And I understand that the #1 concern that everyone in this room has is jobs and the economy. We were in a recession before there was a recession, and we've got great companies like Yankee Wire right here in Coshocton, Jones Metal. We've got great companies that are doing great things, but we need to have leadership that's going to expand that and take advantage of the resources we have. You here in Coshocton, you need highway access. We've got tremendous opportunity in the 18th district with the intersection of 70 and 77. Half of the nation passes through our district every year. We need to be taking advantage of those manufacturing, distribution, and transportation opportunities we have right here in our district. But it all goes back to those constitutional principles. We are a nation that is to have a line drawn in the sand. The Constitution protects our God-given rights. And it's not enough to say, I believe in the Constitution. We need somebody who lives those values. I was on the bench for 10 years in Cambridge. I was never reversed on appeal because I knew my job was to interpret the law, not to write it. I've been endorsed by Liberty Committee because I understand that we live in a constitutional republic. So I'm asking that you join my team. If you look in front of you, you got my literature. I'm asking for you to join my team and help me make Nancy Pelosi the former Speaker of the House. And if you look in your lit, there's a postcard you can send me, because when I get sworn in, I'll get the opportunity to talk to Nancy, and I'd like to know what you'd like me to tell her. So be sure you fill that out and you give that to me before you leave. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jeanette. We're going to open it up for questions now. There were pads out in the foyer, but if you didn't miss that, or if you missed that, you'll notice that there are index cards on your table. If something comes up that you want to write a question to, go ahead and write that down. Somebody will be by here in a little bit to get the, maybe about 20 minutes or so. A couple quick notes for the candidates. We want to remind you all that you're not running for the Senate. No filibustering, please. Keeping answers down to about 1 minute. We also want to remind everybody about Reagan's 11th commandment. Thou shalt speak ill of no other Republican. So keep it civil. Issues are fine, but keep the personal attacks out. Okay. We had a couple different people ask this question, and what we'll do is this time we'll start with Fred, work our way this way, and end up with Bo last. Why are you the best person to beat Zach's base?
Thanks, Tim. Well, first of all, I'm the only candidate that's already won an election in the 18th Congressional District, albeit a primary. And I'm the only candidate sitting up here today who's got a military background. I'm the only candidate that's had a combat background. I'm the only candidate that has had cabinet level executive experience. I've been confirmed by the Ohio Senate 5 times and once by the U.S. Senate, something that most of Barack Obama's czars couldn't do, go through the Senate confirmation process. I'm the only candidate with national security experience. I served on the State Security Task Force and co-chaired the bioterrorism subcommittee of the State Task Force. And I'm the only candidate with foreign policy experience. I've been to approximately 44 countries. I've worked closely with the Foreign Agriculture Service, been to many embassies, Been to the dinners with the ambassadors, private meetings with prime ministers and presidents. Foreign policy is very, very important. It never comes up at these debates, and it's hard to explain foreign policy in 60-second sound bites. So I've never been an elected politician, never been an elected official, but I've had a box seat to see what goes on in government, and quite frankly, some of it makes me very sad to see what's happening. And I want to go and change, and I have strong qualifications to do that. Thank you.
I think the greatest strength that I bring to the table, number one, is I'm a person of the people. I'm not, I was a football coach my whole life until I got sued by the ACLU in 1987, praying with our football team, and it awakened to me to what was going on in America. The anti-Christian, really anti-Christian bigotry that I see going on in America. And I believe that not that I want to turn this into a theocracy, but I believe that my heart represents the values of mom and pop citizen in Coshocton County, and in Holmes County, and in Licking County. I represent those views. I don't know Ronald Reagan. I don't know George Bush. I don't know the governor. But I know our next door neighbor. I know the people I went to high school with and grew up with. I understand their hearts and their concerns. Now, if the answer is, if you want to send to Washington, D.C., somebody that's got all this great political experience, I want to tell you folks, I think that's scary. I think it's political experience that has got us in this mess. I'm a straight-shooting, God-fearing, unashamed Christian man who will fight for truth, justice, and the American way. And I'm going to tell you this. My brother, who died in the World Union Democrat, told me the other day, he said, I've never voted Republican in my life. He said, I'll cross over and I'll vote for you. Because he understands that it's a Republican, Democrat thing, folks. Man, oh man, those of us who are on the same page, who are concerned about the direction of this nation, I'm a fighter, and I'll take it to the end. It's been my history. Thank you.
Well, I like to think of myself as a straight shooter. I look at the facts, and I try to make decisions based on facts and not emotion, and not what people are or what the polls are saying. And I'm the only candidate up here that's ever won an election, held elected office, and I've won, I guess, 4 elections, and quite decisively. And when you run in the Ohio House, you're up in the ballot every other year, and so people get a chance to kick you out or re-elect you. And I've won every time handsomely. It wasn't really that close, I guess. But anyways, so I'm the only one that's held elected office. I'm the only one that's held legislative office, where when people come into you with their challenges and their issues and businesses, and you have to try to figure out what can we do in the legislature arena to help them or fix their problem. And I can tell you, I can give you examples of constituent issues that's what's really probably the most rewarding for me in serving in the Ohio legislature, is the constituent issues. We've helped businesses save the businesses, save jobs, because the bureaucrats in Columbus were putting them out of business, and I can give you examples of that, but not in 60 seconds. And I've taken on some tough issues. I've worked to cut taxes. I've worked to cut the sales tax burden on our retailers here in the state of Ohio. That was a Malden state issue. I was the only one that took that on by myself before I could build a coalition to get going on it to other states to protect our businesses. So I have a record. I'm the only one up there that has a record, and we can talk about that later. But that's why I think I'm the most experienced, plus my business experience and my association experience with the Farm Bureau and soil, water, and all the other things I've